The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. About 10 minutes left till we get to 8 o'clock, where we will have Lollapalooza tickets, a song scramble, 4-day passes. You're one of the first people in, and also, you don't got to worry about budgeting for it.
Nice.
And then you're going to get hit up by people saying, like, hey, I heard you want tickets on Q101. Brian and Kenzie, can I go with you?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of friends that sound like that?
Yeah.
I have a
hope
lot
not.
of friends that sound like that. There's the friends that pretend to say, hey, I haven't talked to you in a minute. What's going on?
Yeah.
Things are good. I heard some good things about you lately. And then, oh, yeah, I heard you on the radio. We want tickets. They try to do the small talky thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a very calculated approach. There are some people in my life I will routinely check in with just so when I need a favor, I'm not just asking for the favor.
That's a
Right.
smart list.
Yes.
I've got like a whole list of people that I got to stay in touch with here and there for it.
Am I on that list?
If you have to ask, you probably are.
All right, here we go. It's Case the producer, 25 years old, hasn't seen most of the big movies out there in his life. And we started this project out. I'm calling it a project this year because we talked about doing it for years, actually. You should watch these movies. Yeah, I will. Now he's being forced to. And he watched Back to the Future for the first time. So imagine what a 25-year-old today in 2024 thinks of a movie that came out in 1985. Let's take you back to the Future. It was the highest grossing movie of 1985. Made $388 million on a $19 million budget.
That's a good ratio.
Think of the stars in that movie.
Yeah.
They must not have got paid much.
Yeah. I wonder if they got the back end pay. Was that a thing back then?
I think it was
Yeah.
because Arnold Schwarzenegger talked about Twins.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't take a salary on Twins. He only took a piece of the movie, and it's the most money he ever made in his life.
Nice.
Because he took a piece of the movie to get Danny DeVito and everybody else in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. But now, Case, the floor is yours. Back to the Future. Give us your review after watching it yesterday.
So, you know how I've had the take on this show that life before like the 1960s must have been awful just because there was nothing to do? Mm-hmm. This movie really made me think about the effects of lead poisoning and how it must have tainted everybody in the 1980s because there's something about this movie. Everybody's off. Everybody's just off in this weird tweaker sort of way. No character is normal. They're all weirdos.
Okay, stop right there. That is not the first sentence of any review in the history of Back to the Future.
Yeah. Well, they're all extreme, I guess.
Boy, are they.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's lead or mercury or something in the water. They're all off in this way that I can't exactly put my finger on, but there was no character throughout the entire movie that was relatable or normal or grounded, really.
Okay. I would.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing either.
Yeah.
They're just all messed up.
Okay, well, here's what I'm saying. Do you even? It's not a bad point, but Michael J. Fox's character was incredibly relatable to somebody in the 80s as a high school kid.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly?
He's weird.
Why is he weird?
He's like a little weird tweaker kid.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, he's all twitchy and nervous. He sweats a lot in the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like a classic example of a kid in high school who's nervous about his girl and he plays guitar, wants to be in a band and all that. I mean,
Do you like that character? Are you like, when you first saw the movie, were you like, that's my guy?
oh my God. Marty
Did everybody want
McFly.
to be like him?
Yes.
Oh, and girls had crushes on him.
Really?
Yes.
Big
Okay.
time. Yeah.
And yes, I wanted to be Marty McFly. I wanted to be Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. It's idolized as a kid watching that movie.
Did you have the vest?
I did not have a vest.
Okay.
I've never worn a vest in my life.
Oh, gosh. In high school, we all wore vests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised. That's just maybe a take that you're seeing in this lens.
Yeah, just
it's
watching
interesting.
the movie for the first time.
Yeah.
And no one in the movie's normal. Even like he's fine, but he's even a little weird.
What about Biff?
I love that actor. I love the guy who plays Biff.
Yeah, he's great.
I really, the movie gets dark when they eventually, spoiler alert, go back in time.
Yeah.
And he's in the car with who turns out to be Marty McFly's mom.
Yeah.
That's really dark.
It's a very scary scene.
Yeah.
And it's also a little, like you said, for a movie that was light, I guess you'd say, for lack of a better word, with this comedy, it took a real moment there. And I bet you were sitting there not knowing what was going to happen there.
There's two really dark moments in the movie. There's when Biff is in the car and he essentially tries to assault Marty McFly's mom.
That's right.
Also, when Doc gets lit up with a machine gun by the Bolivians.
No, the Libyans.
Libyans, not Bolivians.
The Libyan terrorists, because back in the 80s, Libyan terrorists were a big deal.
This clears up one of my questions. I thought they were from Bolivia.
Yeah. No, I mean, as far as I can tell, Bolivians, very good people. Very nice. It's because it was a big arc on the news. I remember as a kid watching back then is that Libya and Libyan terrorism. That was all. That was it. That was on the news.
That makes more sense now. That's
Yeah.
historically accurate. I get that.
Yeah, Bolivians would have been weird.
They started in Bolivia. But he gets lit up like a scene from my favorite movie, Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
There's way more guns in this movie than I was expecting.
Right.
I wasn't expecting any guns.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guns.
That was a whole lot.
Well, it was the 80s. There were a lot of guns in the movies in the 80s.
I guess.
Well, and also you could have guns in movies back then, and it wasn't a political
it
statement.
wasn't a reflection
Right.
It wasn't,
of life.
yeah, it wasn't a reflection of society back then. There was a gun problem. There's always some gun issues here and there, but yeah.
So I wasn't expecting the amount of guns that were there. I also...
That's a funny thing to say in a review of Back to the Future.
I thought the whole movie, again, I had never seen it before. I know some of the references. I knew the name Marty McFly. I thought the whole movie would be about them trying to accomplish time traveling.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting them to just do it like 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
That caught me by surprise.
Pretty quick.
I know.
Pretty quick.
But here's where I have a problem. Not just with the fact that everybody's a little off. I have the same issue with Back to the Future that I actually had with Braveheart, which is that when they time travel for the first time, it's not...
I don't remember the time travel scene in Braveheart.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
But maybe I missed it. Maybe I'll go back and see when the
And it's on
DeLorean...
TNT this weekend.
When he yells freedom, the DeLorean saves his life before they eviscerate him. Maybe that's what happened in Braveheart. I can't remember.
No, but the issue I have is that the first time they time travel in this movie, the humans are not the ones in the car. They animal tested it with a dog.
Yeah.
And all I could think was, what if something had gone horribly wrong? We would have lost a dog the same way we lost all those horses. I wouldn't buy shampoo from a company that animal tests, and
Right.
Marty McFly put a dog in the DeLorean.
Well, back then they were putting animals in rocket ships.
That doesn't make
You know,
it better, Kara.
I know, but
I
I'm just
know.
telling you why.
Yeah, but it happened, and it was relatable at the time. They put a dog to test it with someone then. Sure. Now, 40 years almost later?
Almost, yeah.
We don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
We love dogs, and we should we don't like humans.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so put a human in there we don't like,
That'll show them.
possibly Matt Rife and Piece of Garbage Madness, and send him off and see what happens.
Overall, I will say I enjoyed this movie. It was funnier than I thought it was going to be.
It's hilarious.
The comedy, there's a lot of comedy that holds up really well in it. I have an unanswered question other than separating Libya versus Bolivia. That's good to know.
Wait, you're done with the review? That they only have questions now?
No. I have other stuff to say, but I have a question I would like answered now.
Sure.
Maybe I missed it.
Okay.
I'm just so confused as to what the relationship is between Marty McFly and, what is his name, Doc Brown?
Yes.
How do they know each other? Because if I'm not a parent, I don't have a child in this world. I know if I did, I would not let my kid hang out with that guy. And again, maybe it's a family friend, maybe it's an uncle, maybe I missed something, but it wasn't adding up to me.
Kara, do you want to answer that question?
Well, I had to Google it because I couldn't remember either. It says he met him when he was 14, hearing that Brown was a dangerous lunatic. That doesn't make sense. Marty wanted to go and see what it was all about for himself. He snuck into Doc's lab, was fascinated by his inventions. Doc caught him and was glad to have someone that was interested in his work. And that's how they became friends. You're right. It is creepy now that I read it.
This is Chris Hansen.
Again, this is the lens of a 25-year-old today in 2024 versus an 80s
Right.
kid. Because, back then, when you saw some crazy guy on your block, you were drawn to him. And you wanted to go like, and it wasn't questioned. It was like, that guy looks fun. This guy's got wild stuff he's taking. I want to see what's going on in that house.
That is troubling to think about.
Now, it's not safe. I get it. But also, he was making that big guitar amp for Marty. Remember the big speaker they show in there?
So because Marty is like almost rude about his guitar playing. He just gets up there and shreds and is mad when people don't like it.
It's awesome. That was me in high school, my high school band. Yeah, and I was so good. So yeah, so the relationship is what Kara said, and you're questioning too much on the relationship between Doc Brown and Marty McFly.
I don't think I'm questioning enough.
No.
It's not established why they know each other.
But that's why the 80s were weird. No one cared. I never thought about it until right now.
So I wanted to get that out of the way. Do we need to do Lala tickets real quick? Do we want to come back to this? What do you want to do here? We're live radio, baby.
Let's keep going if you have a few minutes. Lala tickets are coming up in seconds. It's
right.
not quite 8 o'clock yet. We're almost there, but Lala tickets are coming up with a song scramble at the end of this review.
I know people want those too, so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Everybody
here.
stay put. Everybody stay here.
So I want to get that answered because I like the movie. I like his character. I like when they go back in time, minus sending the dog back in time, which I did think was very mean. When they get back in time, and this is the question that I'm seeing, coming on the text line over and over again, and we will address this.
Yes.
The mom in the movie that ends up being Marty McFly's mom later on in life.
Right.
The single
Played greatly by Leah Thompson.
yes, shouts out.
80s star in so many good movies.
Yeah.
The single horniest character I have ever seen in film or television history. Austin Powers has nothing on her.
Yeah.
She wants to bang her unborn son so bad.
Yes.
And it is so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I remember being uncomfortable watching it too.
See, I was not. This was the joy of the writing of the movie. God, you can't enjoy anything, can you? You have to think. You're thinking about human rights. You're thinking about terrorists.
I think about animal testing.
This is Back to the Future. It's the best thrill ride of a movie of storytelling that goes back in time and ties everything together somehow. Every little scene is tied together in everybody's life from beginning to end, going back to the future, back to the current day, going forward, and you're worried about the dog getting set in the car? You're worried about him making out with his mom?
Yeah, I am worried about him making out with his mom, Brian.
Good Lord.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I love sexual tension in movies. It's half the reason I watch them. I'm all for it.
Okay.
I can't get on board with this relationship. I wasn't sure how to feel.
But don't you understand the tension that was created there? Ended up getting her to fall in love with his dad eventually. And then he was born because he got them together and he made it happen.
Don't you understand the tension was between a mom and a son?
I don't get it. No, I don't get it at all.
But there wasn't tension on Marty's side, just hers. It would have been creepier.
She was horny as hell.
Yeah. She was a
horny
high
as hell.
school senior. Everybody is.
Okay, so we'll end it with this. Did you like the movie?
I liked the movie. I did not love the movie. I liked the movie.
So if you have to give it 1 to 10 stars, I don't know what you gave like Braveheart and Shawshank.
I would give Braveheart a 4. I would give Shawshank a 9.
Okay.
I would put this at about a 6.5. I thought it was a very good movie. It was not great. I still have some problems with it, but I will say the story of it and the comedy of it holds up remarkably well. I just think there are some holes that need to be addressed at some point.
I think you're thinking too much.
Yes,
it's just a
thank you.
freaking movie.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Something I've been wanting to talk about for a while on the show here with Brian and Kenzie on Q101, and we're so glad to have Kenzie in from maternity leave, live from maternity leave. That's right. Because
It's our janky version until we get the official version.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you're here, Kenzie, because I don't think Case can appreciate my fear of what's happening in Chicago and Illinois. Coming up here probably in May, it starts, where it is the return of the cicadas coming back.
Is it a band?
No.
Okay. I just want to check and make sure we're actually talking about cicadas.
Actually, before we continue, Case, can you look up and see if there's a band called the Cicadas?
I would love nothing more.
It's probably
Okay,
one.
I just wanted to check because I hate when we do this for a while and then I find out it's a band.
Wait, what? We pull a fast one on you?
Yeah, I'm like, oh God.
So also,
I thought we were actually talking about garbage.
also, it's probably a band Case will have on a Case for the Cicadas.
Exactly.
There is a band that released an album, self-titled album called The Cicadas in 1997. Their bio says the country rock band The Cicadas was a side project of the acclaimed singer-songwriter Rodney Crowell, but I don't know who Rodney Crowell is.
I guess you got to do a deep dive on him before we
You think he's
continue.
related to the civil rights activist?
Who's
Rodney
the civil-
King?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I thought you were about to say Rodney King as you were. I'm like, holy crap, that's weird.
So you're going with relationships based on first names?
and last names that kind of sound similar.
Do you think when he went anywhere and said, just give me your first name and last initial? Rodney K. Oh, you're that guy?
Oh, I've seen your work before.
This is obviously another passion project.
Well, John Hinckley, who attempted to assassinate President Reagan, he's got a whole thing right now where he's out of prison, did his time, and all he wants to do is play in a band. and he keeps on getting booked by these concert venues who are like, yeah, sure, up-and-coming artist named John Hinckley. And then the venue finds out that it's the John Hinckley.
Like the actual.
Yeah, and then they're canceling his concerts, and I think that's really messed up.
He should go by like Slayer or something. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's already taken.
But like, so I'm saying like, you know, similar vibes.
Something that people won't question.
Yeah.
The Slayer.
If John Hinckley was billed as Beach Bunny, everybody would be okay with it.
Or if he had a project to the end of it. If it's the John Hinckley project.
It's an Alan Parsons spinoff.
Okay, so there was a band called the Cicadas. We confirmed that. But Kenzie, the Cicadas are coming, and this is an incredibly rare thing that's happening. It's the 17-year return of the Cicadas, but it's a double brewed emergence. That's what it's called, which hasn't
What
happened.
does that mean?
That's a new Dunkin' drink, I think.
Yeah. First off, it sounds delicious. Tell me more.
Well, what it is it's more cicadas that are coming into the state and reemerging from the ground since Thomas Jefferson was president. So we're talking 200 and some years. It hasn't been this many. There's going to be billions of cicadas coming from the
What
ground.
bothers me about facts like that?
What's that?
Who was there to be like, oh my God, this is more than Thomas Jefferson had? Like,
Well-
somebody wrote down how many cicadas were there that year.
Well, what else are you going to do? in
Because I don't
the
think we're
1800s?
keeping track of that stuff. Like, they had a lot going on. They were like, should we have slaves? And they're like, I'm going to write down how many cicadas were here.
Well, that's why slavery went on too long. Because they were counting cicadas.
We could have gotten rid of it sooner.
Oh my God. I like how Brian says too long. Any amount of time was too long, Brian. It's not like, oh, it was a year past its prime.
I was not part of that, and none of my ancestors were a part of it either. In fact, some of my ancestors probably were slaves. So just to
Stop it. It's
we can go down that wormhole in a little bit. So instead, let's get back to cicadas and away from slavery because they're all coming and it's billions of them. So more than in 224 years because they counted back then, and it's more that will be here again in 2245. So this is a very rare occurrence. It's called cicada apocalypse. And
so they're coming. Did you say they're coming from the ground? As we said.
yeah, they live in the ground. So
They can like hibernate for like a super long time, or what's the deal?
absolutely, they surface every year in these cycles just to mate every 13 to 17 years, and they live in the ground, they mate, and then they die, and it's over. That's their life.
Huh?
That's their whole life.
I mean, that's no different than our life when you think about it.
Mate and die.
Yeah, that's kind of all I got going for me.
Well,
jeez.
speak for yourself.
Oh, you're living a prosperous life with a lot going on?
I feel like I'm very productive. And
good for you.
I have some fun now, and I drink some
Brian,
beer.
you take 4-hour naps. You text Casey and I all the time after breaking news, but like 4 hours after it.
That's fine, because you know what? It doesn't disturb me, that horrible news. It doesn't.
You kind of are a cicada. You really do sleep a lot. Now that I'm thinking about it, you have cicada energy.
God, I wish I could. Imagine that life. You sleep for 17 years, come out,
Get laid.
get laid, and then you're done.
You're done. Big day. Big
It's
day
great.
tomorrow.
So
So I guess, how can they tell how many are going to be here if they're also on the ground? I'm very confused with the whole thing.
Because the people that study this, there's 2 broods coming. It's a double brood emergence. That's not a new Dunkin' drink. That is actually what's happening. So usually just be 1 brood. There's 2 of them. So it's going to be billions, meaning you're out in Elgin in a little rural area. You're gonna probably see somebody have to shovel them off your sidewalk, the shells, because
No way.
yes, because other animals come and eat them. It's good for the environment. These guys coming out because they.
Well, they're just gonna die though. They're not gonna do anything. There's gonna be like a porn on my front porch apparently because they're all gonna be Mayday having their Big Bang Fest little orgy, and then they're all gonna die, right?
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
But many of them get eaten before they can even bang, which sucks.
Oh, God, that'd be the worst.
You had 17 years to lose your virginity.
You thought high school sucked for you. Imagine being a cicada.
Do you feel like the cicadas make fun of other cicadas? Like Jimmy didn't even make it. Like they're just like harassing each other.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 talking about cicada apocalypse that's happening starting in May. What a hilarious story from Chrissy who checked in. Said, I remember 17 years ago when I was a kid, my parents drugged me around to garage sales, and they were all over the sidewalk. The cicadas, as I said, they're going to be everywhere. Billions of them, carcasses everywhere.
Oh, my God.
I know. You ready for this case?
Uh-huh.
And so she drug her around. They were on the sidewalk. Of course, I started complaining. And as soon as my mom was telling me to stop complaining, a cicada flew into her mouth. Needless to say, we went back to the car at that point. We're out of here. Brian and Kenzie on Q101, and we're just discussing the cicada apocalypse, the billions that are descending on Illinois, starting in May most likely. There's kind of coming in waves, but May will be billions of cicadas coming out of the ground after 17 years to mate and then die. But there's even more to this story. There's even more of a rub, Kenzie. So again...
There's already going to be a lot of rubbing. It's 17 billion people
17
mating.
billion,
Cicadas mating.
Yeah. The other rub is that if you get near them, they can spray pee on you.
Oh my God.
'Cause
They're like very R. Kelly cicadas.
Well, they can fly.
So
Oh my God. They
There's-
believe it.
there's so much branding opportunity with the cicada apocalypse because you have, imagine the Metallica logo, but it says cicada apocalypse. That's one.
Oh, that's really good.
And then you have a second T-shirt that is a cicada with R. Kelly's head on it because they will pee on you.
Yeah. And they're going to like it.
Yeah. They're going to smile about it.
And the thing is, they can't go to jail because they die. They come back, they get laid, they
Well,
pee
also,
on
they
you.
wouldn't put cicadas in jail. So there's that.
I would love to see a cicada jail.
That's where our tax money's going, is to cicada jail.
Oh, God.
Cute little cicada visitor sections.
Oh, what's it
I
called?
think there's a lot of people who need homes right now in Chicago. I'd really like if our tax dollars didn't go to housing cicadas.
Too bad.
I don't
too
know.
bad.
If I was an alderman, I'd take a payout to get a cicada
I
jail
know.
up.
Well, because
God.
imagine the conjugal visits. They still got to bang.
Oh, God.
You get jailed before you get to bang after 17 years.
God,
that'd be
the
terrible.
worst.
So yeah, they're if you try to go at a cicada, because they're going to be all over the place, they can spray pee in fear to reject you from getting near them.
But how long does it? Geez, how long do these things bang for? Like, shouldn't they just die pretty quick?
Well, it depends on, let's say it's like, what if like 8,000 male cicadas come up on the ground, there's like just one female sitting there.
Woof. That's
Yeah, I'm here for the
that's a
gang.
tall order.
Not to make another old school reference, but I'm here for the gangbang.
God. That's not good.
So they're not harmful except for that they could pee on you
The
when you see them.
gangbang. Besides that, everyone should be fine.
Everybody should be fine.
Well, I just feel like men in general, like normally it's a quicker process. Like cicadas last the longest out of everything.
Well, I mean, think about how hard it is for people to get together. There's a lot of lonely people out there. There's got to be some lonely cicadas too.
Yeah, but you would think those lonely people would wrap things up pretty quickly. I think Kenzie's
That's what
point
I'm
is
saying.
like they're going at it for a while.
And they're also not picky.
No. But they're probably thinking about baseball the entire time.
Oh, God.
They're thinking about like Yadier Molina while the cicadas come out of the ground.
I don't think the one female cicada is going to be picky about, whoa, that was fast.
No, she's gonna have to fend them off like a knightsman.
So we have to rescue the females. Is
Yeah.
what you're saying they're all going to get attacked and assaulted. Everyone's worried about themselves. Brian's worried about themselves. I'm worried about female cicadas being assaulted in the streets in front of our children.
Okay, I want to see how you're going to defend that situation in your house, in your front yard.
like a tennis racket.
Here's the cicadas in Kenzie's front yard.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.